But the news was just announced that WNBA TV ratings are down more than 50% since Caitlin Clark's injury. And it was also reported that the Indiana Fever television viewership is also down over 53%. Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA.
The WNBA just discovered the hard way that without Caitlin Clark, life would be a complete nightmare and unwatchable, much like Netflix without Wi-Fi. At 2 a.m., playoff ratings decline 1% quicker than your phone's battery. The league is currently frantically trying to figure out how to keep fans interested. Did spectators simply turn to pickleball highlights, or did they truly disappear into thin air? Stay tuned, as this playoff fiasco is more entertaining than today's reality TV reunion.
Today, is there any chance that the WNBA, that Kathy Engelbert saw some of the ratings that I'm about to show you now and said, hey, Indiana Fever, can you do us a favor? Can you do us a solid? Can you just tease a Caitlin Clark return, kind of boost these up a little bit? Can you just dangle a Caitlin Clark return in front of the fans' faces, try to boost these ratings up a little bit? There was one matchup that this league can consistently rely on to produce massive viewership numbers.
The WNBA hoped that this season would be the turning point, the big year, the breakthrough, the season that the league emerges from the shadows and demonstrates its ability to compete with the big guys. Instead, it feels like the entire league took one massive prep fall, face-planted into a bucket of nacho cheese, and then attempted to pretend it was part of the plan.
A shocker. Imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise when Uncle Casey found out that the WNBA is struggling to maintain their ratings without Caitlin Clark. To make matters worse, and this is something I have definitely noticed in the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially since the All-Star game, the WNBA seems to be struggling to maintain interest.
Let's be straightforward. The WNBA season has been both spectacular and devastating. A commissioner who seems to believe that player health is merely a suggestion, a number of injuries, and foul calls that appear to have been made by referees wearing legally broken glasses were all there when you were watching the basketball game. The fact that Caitlin Clark spent more time on the bench than in court surely caught your attention if you were looking for entertainment. It seems that her ankles have been deemed public property by her attorneys, who treat her like a human crash test dummy.
When I think about Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for the sport.
How was the attendance for Team USA in the Olympics? What would it have been like if Caitlin Clark was playing on that team? Remember the first game? Look at this right here. National broadcast viewership. What are we talking about here? 1,000, what is that? 1.219? Is that the number? And the game afterwards got 485,000. So the Fever and their game against the Minnesota Lynx was 1.219 million.
When the most thrilling aspect of the season has been fans attempting to determine whether the league will disintegrate before the playoffs are over, you know something is amiss. The thin bit of duct tape known as "please don't notice how bad this is keeping in place." Spoiler alert.
WNBA's black superstars should thank their lucky stars. For the record ratings Caitlin Clark is detonating, even if new fans are mostly white fans. It doesn't matter what color eyeballs are. But the other day, I must admit, it hit me like Katie Bell Henderson telling me that's enough. I told myself it's not racist for me to like Caitlin.
Speaking of poor, what about the calls that were officiated? Yes, it appears like this season's referees were taken from a mall food court during lunch rush. As they consider whether to call a flagrant foul, one of them is still munching on a piece of Sparrow pizza. It appears that another person believed they were hired to officiate a roller derby. The consistency lies in the middle of Fortune Cookie and Magic 8-Ball. A single game is worthless. Someone who sneezes too forcefully during the following game will be kicked out. This year, if the officials had their own player stat line, it would show turnovers and 0 questionable calls in each and every possession.
The WNBA has a problem, and that problem is Caitlin Clark not playing in WNBA games. Now, what all does this affect? The ratings are plummeting. Guys, there's ratings for a couple of these games that are eye-poppingly.
Let's talk injuries, because this season's WNBA is starting to resemble an ER waiting room more than a basketball league. Caitlin Clark has been sidelined so often, you'd think she was collecting frequent flyer miles for hospital visits. Defenders treat her like she stole their lunch money. Every time she drives to the hoop, it's like watching a live taping of how many hits until the ref cares. Spoiler, more than you'd expect. But Clark isn't the only one getting battered. The injury list is so long, the league office probably exhaled when another big name went down. Phew, that's one fewer all-star we need to promote. And then came Angel Reese with the mid-season plot twist. I'm out. In most professional sports, that'd send shockwaves. In the WNBA, it felt more like a mic drop aimed at the entire operation. When the commissioner seems MIA, refs are officiating like they lost a bet, and players are getting injured like it's a summer heatwave bug swarm. Who can blame Reese for choosing Instagram over ice packs? Let's be honest. If the league doesn't get its act together soon, the biggest competition won't be on the court. It'll be which player leaves next.
That's not a trend that the WNBA is excited about. That's a trend that Kathy Engelbert would say, hey, Fever, hey, Lynn Dunn, hey, Kelly, hey, Amber, can you guys start dangling that Caitlin Clark return like you used to do? You know, before Caitlin Clark gave a statement and you guys were hands off. Can you guys, just string them along a little bit more? We want to get these ratings back up. We want to get these numbers back.
Here's the reality. None of this chaos exists in isolation. The WNBA has spent years asking to be seen, heard, and respected, pushing for the spotlight, demanding equal footing. But the league itself keeps fumbling the bag. The commissioner treats players' safety like it's optional, as if stepping in to enforce rules or protect the stars would somehow disrupt the vibe. And for a moment, it actually worked. Before Caitlin Clark's injury, there was real momentum. People were watching. ESPN suddenly remembered the league existed. SportsCenter gave them screen time. Social media was flooded with hot takes from people who just learned what a zone defense is. Then Clark went down, and so did the ratings. Angel Reese checked out like she had better things to do, because honestly, she might. And just like that, the WNBA learned the danger of putting all your marketing eggs in one rookie's basket. Especially when you let her take hits like it's open season and call it basketball. Sure, some fans will chalk it up to growing pains. Injuries happen. Bad calls are part of the game. But let's stop pretending this is just misfortune. It's mismanagement. The leadership looks less like a professional sports league and more like a group project with no one taking charge. The commissioner? She's coasting like a sub who gave up halfway through the semester. Instead of addressing issues, poor officiating, dangerous play, stars burning out, the league just shrugs and hopes for the best. Star players leaving? No big deal. Referees making the games borderline unwatchable? It'll sort itself out. Newsflash, it didn't. And neither did the fans.
Indiana, against the Chicago Sky, right after that game, they opened an investigation once again into the fans, where they found nothing, but the damage had already been done at that point. If some of these things happen just one time here and there, or there's one certain media personality who's just always saying these kind of things, then whatever. I feel like fans as a whole can be like, okay, whatever, this person is just a hater. But this is something that has happened over and over and over again, and over time, it starts chipping away at how much you're going to actually care and want to support an organization if they continue to do things like that.
And for the players still standing, they're stuck suiting up for games that barely resemble basketball. It's more like a mashup of rugby and a no-rules cage match. Half the time, it's unclear whether you're watching a WNBA matchup or an undercard for WrestleMania. All that's missing is someone pulling a folding chair from under the bench. Meanwhile, the commissioner is still popping up in interviews talking about momentum and growth. Like everything's fine. Right. And I grow a few inches every time I wear boots with a heel. Calling this chaos progress is like calling a forest fire a cozy campfire. It's not optimism. It's straight up denial. These women are out there grinding, pushing their limits, risking their bodies, all while the system around them collapses in real time. They don't deserve officials who blow the whistle like they're directing traffic at a kid's birthday party. They don't deserve leadership that treats players' safety like a suggestion. And they certainly don't deserve a league that only shows up for them when it's trending. But this is where we've landed. A season limping to its finish line, ratings nosediving, fan morale tanking, and the injury list reading like a casualty report. And we're supposed to call this a breakout year? If this was the WNBA's big moment, then mission accomplished. It turned into one of the most spectacular meltdowns imaginable.
This Caitlin Clark thing, man, I mean, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing what you guys have done. And then people are catching on to your tactics. You got the people on Twitter catching on to your tactics. Like, look at this right here. Look at this right here. They say ESPN didn't want to show the ratings were down from WNBA All-Star Game because Caitlin Clark did.
Maybe next season the commission will finally decide that protecting players is worth more than a PR quote. Maybe the refs will study the rule book and realize that getting body slammed on a layup isn't just good defense. Maybe Caitlin Clark and other stars will actually be allowed to finish a season without needing a chiropractor on speed dial. But until those maybes become reality, the WNBA is teetering on the edge, not because the fans don't care, but because leadership clearly doesn't. This was supposed to be the year, the breakthrough moment, sold-out arenas, ticket lines wrapping around the block like people waiting for concert tickets or the latest sneaker drop. Instead, we got half-empty venues, so quiet you can hear concession workers wondering why they came in today. Hot dogs are going cold, and the only lines forming are fans exiting early. Most games have ticket sales that look like they belong in a liquidation sale. Everything must go. They keep saying they're growing the fan base, but fans seem more interested in growing their watch lists on Netflix. Because when your main draws, Clark sidelined, Cunningham out, Reese gone, are missing, so are the crowds. What was promised as a blockbuster season has crumbled faster than a cheap folding chair under pressure. But the wildest part? The WNBA is still pretending it's all fine. Social media is posting highlights like we didn't just watch a game where both teams shot 30%, and the arena looked like a Wednesday morning practice. What a thrilling night in the W, they tweet, as their fans arm in the replies with gifs of tumbleweeds and crickets chirping. At this point, the comment sections have more energy than the broadcasts. And when your own hype posts become unintentional comedy shows, it might be time to admit the problem isn't the fans. It's the system they're being asked to support.